scams that is happening these days, when you receive a video call from police officers and they say that some of your loved ones have been arrested by us and they are sitting in the police station, please send us the money or I will put them into the jail. Please come to the office. Even they are calling us. Sometimes they are asking for money. So how are they revealing their faces on video calls? सबसे पहले क्या करो? ASAP क्या करो?
सबसे पहले I would say you should call your bank.
Okay.
So what your bank will do is they will ultimately block your account so that you cannot make further payments. ताकि anyone who is sitting out there fraud हुआ है, scam हुआ है, कुछ भी हुआ है, तो आपके account से भी कोई activity नहीं हो सकती. तो अगला बंदा, if any person is trying to make any money from or fetch any money from your account, bank will ultimately then and there itself they will block, and they will also ask the culprit's bank to block the culprit's account.
Hello all, welcome to our podcast, a podcast where we try to dig into the extraordinary minds of people who have either broken barriers, shaped industries, or those who can inspire billions. Today we have with us Sakshi, who is a financial forensic accountant who helps the customers to recover their financial losses from online threats and cyber crimes. So today we'll be learning about the potential financial crimes that are happening around the globe due to this digital age, and we'll be learning the preventive measures that can be taken by you all while you are doing your daily transactions using GPay and Paytm apps. I know that these transactions are increasing day by day because everywhere people are accepting these transactions, but you need to adopt those preventive measures for saving the money that you have in your accounts, those hard-earned monies. So please stay tuned in the podcast because it's a very serious topic and you'll be learning lots of things to how to save your money. So please stay tuned, listen to the video, and let's get inspired.
Hello ma'am, please give a brief introduction of yours to our audience.
Hi everyone, I am Sakshi Trivedi. I'm born and brought up here in Noida. I've completed my schooling from Noida itself, and then I went to Delhi University for my graduation. After that, I did my postgrad in forensic science and technology from Amity Noida, where I've been regarded as the silver medalist of my batch. And right now I'm working in one of the biggest MNC around the globe as a financial crime investigator.
Can you briefly tell about your role as a financial crime investigator?
Yeah, so as the name suggests, it's a financial crime. So the people who have been the victim of financial crime, when we talk about financial crime, it is generally related, or it is the merging of two words which we talk of finances and the crime. So there, as you know, in today's world, the technology is so booming. We have pros and cons of everything right now. So when it comes to the technology, so sometimes what happens, the money eventually gets deducted from your bank accounts and you don't even know about it. So it's like your minute information that gets leaked and people take an undue advantage of that. And since the technology is booming, we have hackers, we have attackers, we have everyone. So even the initials of your passwords get hacked, and even a single click can, make you bankrupt on the other side. So basically the crime which involves the money, and it is placed into the system in the illicit manner, in the illegitimate manner, which is granted as a financial crime. Basically, if we talk about banks, we have a lot of cyber attacks right now going on, which is all related to the online frauds, basically. So let's say, I'll give you the basic example. So let's say you got an email on your system that, hi, you please click here for anything. And then you, out of curiosity, people are like, you just click it. And then you don't understand the other person sitting behind. It's a phishing email that went into your system, that actually grabbed your system's entire information, that grabbed your phone's entire information, that they went into your bank account and your money is done.
Okay.
So then people come to the bank. So it's basically the bank, whichever the person has the account for. Like if I'm in SBI, so a customer who has been a victim of that fraud or scam will come to SBI, report it, and then the bank will investigate in their own manner. So I do it for the global people. Like my bank is basically based in United States of America and UK. So my domain is US and UK. So every country has their own way of dealing. But the basic thing when a financial crime is reported, we basically track the information of the person's account and the person to whom the money is being sent, and then we probably intimate the other bank, maybe the beneficiary bank we call it, or you can say the person who has did the fraud, okay, the culprit's bank, and we just intimate them. That has to be a very quick response to them, so that they can initially block the bank account of the other person, and then it is done and dusted.
So that's a tremendous role that you play in your own banks, that you help with the people who have dealt with these financial losses. So in most cases, are you able to catch the culprits and recover the financial losses that are dealt by people?
Yeah, it is like 90-95% of cases we are able to identify the culprit. We are able to seize their bank accounts as well. But getting money from the customer or from the culprit's bank is bit a difficult task. You need the proof and everything.
Yes.
And sometimes what happens is people do it deliberately. Like it's like a very minute thing. They said you get a call from any bank and they said you apply for a credit card. Okay, and then this is a true story which I'm telling you because this happened with one of my family member. But since I'm in crime and I was able to manage and get the money back. It was 2.5 lakhs of rupees which got deducted. So people call you and they grab all your information, and then possibly they say that we are from this bank, okay, and they give you all the information and everything, and people know that they're transferring the money. So that is a basic difference between a fraud and a scam.
Okay.
So for a scam, the person knows where they are making the payment, but for fraud it is like you don't know, it just happened, you were really unaware about.
Okay.
So
you help the people that have dealt with scams or frauds?
both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is very easy to identify. So if it's a money, if I'm giving you a money, so if I have account in SBI and I've transferred your money, definitely I can go to my bank and ask them to check to whom I've transferred the money. So I can fetch your bank details, right?
Yes.
Easily. So I can basically contact your bank and ask your bank to really cut down any contact, or I can ask you just seize the person's bank account, block it, no further activity, any type of banking, online banking, telephone banking, internet banking, block everything, even the credit card, debit cards, everything get blocked. So the person is not able to make a transaction from the money it went to, but it has to be very time specific. So it becomes easy for us if the person who has been a victim of fraud and scam reports to us ASAP, as early as possible. So if we intimate the bank within an hour or less than that, so there is possibility that bank itself blocks the culprit's account and we are able to get the money.
Okay, so these are the steps that are to be done after the loss has already been done.
Yeah.
So what are the preventive measures? Because many students out there are listening to this podcast. Many people out there are listening to this podcast. So what are the preventive measures that can be taken in order to avoid these scams and frauds both?
Okay, so very preventive measure if I talk about, you have to be very vigilant, okay? Do not make payments on any link. Do not even click on this. You don't know, the technology is so booming that one click can entirely make your even laptop get socially engineered. Even you can have the person there. So if you click on one, there might be a person, if we both are talking, there is a person who is sitting here and is listening to our whole conversation and what all activities you are doing. So first of all, be vigilant, be very, very vigilant. If technology is good, then it is bad at the same time. Second thing, you should never trust. So it is not like it only happens through the digitization. Sometimes a person pretending to be a policeman, sometimes a person is pretending to be a bank staff, that, hey, I'm calling you from bank and you have to transfer this much, that money. And people tend to believe them, right? Yes. People tend to believe them. So you need to understand that no bank will ever ask their customers to transfer money or to do anything with their bank account. This is not what any of the bank, even it's India, even it's UK, it's a basic thing. So you do not have to believe it. If you get such calls, you have to report it as a scam, and then you can go to your bank and verify that, okay? This is the second major step which you can take. I believe if you carry on with these two steps, you can basically prevent 50-60% of the crime. But if we talk about frauds, in most of the cases, people do not know it.
Really, yes.
So I have, so when I hear people's story about the scam, because I am an investigator, I have shifted to now risk. I am now managing the risk over it. So how can we really prevent it? In banks also, we do have some preventive softwares in which we feed the beneficiaries details. Like so there is a modus operandi we talk about. Like if you do any murder, there is a method through which a murder is done. And if you talk about a very criminal murderer, he or she must have some modus operandi. So same like fin crime people also have. So they have basic details. Okay, so we identify, we go through the patterns of multiple people's bank account. We identify the beneficiary based on the system, and we actually feed them onto our system so that any person who is making a payment, the bank software will ultimately block it. Okay. So if it has been blocked, then possibly your payment has been stuck. Then there will be a call from a bank going to a customer that you are making this payment. We found this payment. So be fraudulent and suspicious. We have monitored your payment and we don't really suggest you to release it.
Yes.
But that has to be of a certain amount. We cannot do it for like £2, £3, £5, or even $10, $20. Like it should, like there is a certain threshold which is set, like $5,000 or £5,000, £10,000. So if we see that much amount is being transferred from any customer to something which is already fed in our system, it automatically gets blocked. After that, we call the customer. We ask them that you want us to release. If they say yes, then we probably say we are aside. This is who you are making the payment. If you do so, you become the victim. Bank is not there.
Okay.
But so this is one of the thing. You have to be very vigilant. You have to be very vigilant with the people whom you are trusting. Don't do things from any of the website. I'm talking about both frauds and scams. Because in scams also we have to investigate, and in scam it becomes a bit difficult to get the money back because the customer itself has made the payment. But I have seen people around me, the other person pretends to be their father, and then they entirely ask for the money.
Yes.
And that overseas it's more. I believe people in India are still very vigilant about it. But in overseas, the banking system, you won't imagine, there is no OTP system in other countries. That was our first country who invented it, and that was one of the measures which I suggested in my bank, that we should take over that. Okay, so this is one of the things. So I think nowadays it's very, and there are for certain guidelines also when it comes to the company, organizations, or it comes to the countries. So our country has a different approach. Different countries has different approach. There is a country out there. So if any customer who is a victim of fraud and scam, so it happens, both the banks will come up and pay the money.
Yes.
So let's say if you are Bank of Baroda and I'm SBI, and my customer has account with SBI and you have done a fraud to them, so customer will ultimately be at the happiness, and they will always get benefit of doubt. It's your loss and my loss. Let's say if they have been the victim of £10,000, so 5,000 you will be paying and 5,000 I'll be paying, and he is happy. So nowadays, the such type of regulation also makes people very prudent to this.
Okay.
Very, very obvious. So people have made this as a business. So that is the reason we invented the software, so that we can know the pattern. Sometimes it happens between I am the customer of same bank, you're the customer of same bank, and then we are doing among each other. So that means they're generating the money through bank, and bank also deal with losses, right?
Of course.
So yeah, so as a financial crime investigator, we save banks billion, we save people's money, and yeah, it is a very good, I know not many people know about it, but this is what I was very intrigued with, and I like things which are very curious and investigating, so I put my brains on. So this is what makes me put my brains on when I read people's story. Like it's like different types of purchase scams happen, malicious, advance fee scam happens. So advance fee.
So there's a very common scams that is happening these days when you receive a video call from police officers and they say that some of your loved ones have been arrested by us and they are sitting in the police station. Please send us the money, or I will put them into the jail. Please come to the office. Even they are calling us. Sometimes they are asking for money. So how are they revealing their faces on video calls?
They do that you see, there are multiple people working in the banks and everywhere. Some they do reveal, sometimes they don't even reveal. They're just very much okay with the money. They just need money. Okay.
So if they are revealing their faces, the chance of them being caught is more. Aren't they afraid because because the procedure that you're telling me right now is so legitimate?
Yeah.
You have a correct procedure to catch the culprits, to release the financial losses to the people who have incurred the losses. There's such a legitimate procedure, and still people are doing this and they are not getting caught.
It happens. Actually, this is the way it goes on. I would say there are a lot of things. If you talk about, even this is a minute scale which I'm talking about. Like you and me, we are being.
Even I have received such calls.
It's even we do on daily basis as well.
Yes.
So it is like very, very common thing, and it is very minute. I tell you, because when I have studied a broader picture of financial crimes, so there is one thing called anti-money laundering. So you know, all these terrorists which attack on our different countries, they are being funded through
Of course, organizations.
So that is the reason any financial crime being reported, we always report it to the cybercrime portal of any country, so that it is known that where the money has came from and where it is going. Because if any such ways your account has been found as a mule is an account which is
through which the money has been
illegal money
has
is
been
made legitimate into the system.
काले धन को चिट्टा धन करना.
Exactly, काले धन को सफेद कराना और उसको सिस्टम में लेकर आना. It is basic thing which I believe. So there is lot more. So we have lot more things. We place sanctions. People travel overseas, from one country to another. We always go through their verification details, KYC on the banks. We have softwares through which we can identify. They don't come. See, people from the countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan. We know these countries are more prone to terrorism, right? Human trafficking. They're very much prone to. So any person who's coming from these countries ultimately makes us more vigilant about it. So there are sanctions placed on it, that any person from this country, so we already have, some basic rules for them, which is not as common as the other people. Okay, so it is like people do reveal their faces. Sometimes they must be standing behind you and in front of you, but you do not know that they're doing the crime. But it's a vast world, number of cases going on. So I think this is what gives them
You
more
need to be
confidence.
cautious yourself.
The first thing to avoid, we always say precaution is better than cure. So I will always say it's better to be very much cautious and preventive about anything you are doing. Okay, this phone, it is easy to pick up a call, but you don't know who the other person is recording.
Yes.
Yeah. So I always say you should be very, 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 very preventive about.
मैम, हमने अभी तक समझा that how to recover. आप कैसे help करते हैं your customers in recovering those financial losses that they have dealt with through these online frauds. So अगर हम many students out there are listening to this podcast, so what is the first step that somebody has to take if they have faced such financial or online crime? मैं सबसे पहले क्या करूँ? ASAP क्या करूँ?
सबसे पहले I would say you should call your bank.
Okay.
So what your bank will do is they will ultimately block your account so that you cannot make further payments. ताकि anyone who is sitting out there, fraud हुआ है, scam हुआ है, कुछ भी हुआ है, तो आपके account से भी कोई activity नहीं हो सकती. तो अगला बंदा, if any person is trying to make any money from or fetch any money from your account, bank will ultimately then and there itself they will block. And they will also ask the culprit's bank to block the culprit's account.
Okay.
So ultimately, let's say if you have sent the money right now and you right now realize that, oh, I have been a victim. So you just call your bank will call the other bank, and then they will block the money. So there is a probability, I would say, as early as possible, if you intimate the bank, there is a probability that your 100% money can be recovered.
Okay.
So the very first thing is always do call your bank. I would like to highlight a point because I have seen that in many cases. There is always your bank's customer care or a legitimate customer care number must be saved in your phone. If it is not, then if you have been a victim of, let's say, card disputes, credit card or debit card cards, there is always a number at the back of your card. You can always call it. Do not go on Google, search the number, because there are multiple websites. It's very simple nowadays that people can generally run search engine operations. They can They create the exactly cloned website as a true legitimate site, and then through SQL, through search engine operations, you can actually bring your website at the top results instead of the legitimate website. So sometimes this happened with one of my colleague as well. So they were applying for a card, and then they went to the ICICI Bank's website, and there was an exactly cloned website.
Okay.
They went there, they applied, and a person called them pretending to be from ICICI, and then they lost 2.5 lakh rupees from their card. But as soon as they lost, they called me, and I was like, call your bank. So we called the bank, and the bank literally, it was a 3 major transaction. I think 67,000, 88,000, and one was of 90s above. And they were asking for the 4th transaction, then the person became suspicious. Why they are continuously asking me for that? So then and there they realized it. So they called me, and I was like, call your bank ASAP. Call on their customer care number. They blocked your card. The same thing they'll do with the culprit's account also. But it is like, जितना जल्दी दिमाग में आ जाए उतनी जल्दी act कर दो. Just be very, very cautious, and the first step, without thinking, just call your bank. Call your bank.
Okay.
And have your bank's customer care number saved in your mobile phone through bank only. Don't go on Google.
Okay.
Don't go on anywhere, any website to fetch the number. I know it is the most easiest way to find out customer care number. You just search it on Google and you get it. But right now, even the scan happens those ways. You want to order something from the two website, be it cosmetics, be it online, be it anything. So the crime rate or the people being advanced through technology is too much high that I've told you that they're exactly cloning the website. It's like you will not be able, from your naked eye also, you'll not be able to, find out the details that this is a clone website. They create as it is.
Okay.
As it is. So always get it saved, and then your bank will help you. Definitely, bank is there to help you to save your money. You're giving money to your bank. That means your money is safeguarded.
Okay.
So yeah, please contact your bank.
Okay.
Through the legitimate customer care number. Yeah.
So, are there any areas that are yet to be touched by the cyber crime cells and the banking operations to curb these risks?
Mostly they are there. Mostly they have find out the ways, but technology every day gets advanced. Okay, so there is no end to it. So sometimes what happens, we do get a fraud and scam, and then we also realize, does this ever happen before? Because then we have to put a brain onto it. We have to prepare a risk appetite and risk management over that as well. That this is the risk which is occurring to our bank and to our customers. So since the technology is there, I won't say that the area would be infinite, like multiple areas. Some are discovered, some are not. When you talk about cybersecurity, you have so much attacks that happens, phishing, wishing, even your messages that you get from companies, that is why I say do not touch or, do not even click on any link which you're getting. It is very difficult nowadays to, be very safeguarded from all these things. It's all just that you have to be cautious. It's technology that is booming. So as soon as people are using brain to discover the technology, the crime would happen.
Okay. So I build up a scenario here. From a website or online website or a Facebook page, I ordered a product. I deposited the money through my GPay account. I have paid the money for that product, and the product that I've received is different from the product that I ordered online. So this is a scam, right? The product that I received is different from what I ordered.
Yeah.
So what should be my step?
So when it comes to the scam, so the scam, we deal with scams a bit differently from frauds because the scam person knows to whom they're making the payment.
Yes.
Okay, so very first thing which I would like to highlight it, you should always buy it from the trusted websites. Okay, like if I talk about, you can buy it from Amazon, you can buy it from Myntra, you have Flipkart, you have multiple other websites. I would not prefer you to buy from like Facebook page or Instagram page. That is a very common.
Yes.
I've received something different. So if you come to the bank and say it, bank will definitely lodge a complaint, whatever it is. and they will also contact the other bank also that the customer is providing, your bank's customer is providing false things to the other customer, and this is really very much tensed about us as well, customers as well, and that is obviously declining the bank's reputation as well, right? So please stop this. Please seize the account of the customer, or do not allow such people to make accounts in your bag. Okay. So we recover sometimes money from that also, but mostly in the cases where the false product is received or it is not received as usual, the bank also comes up with that it is a buyer-seller dispute. So something, it was between you and me. Bank was not there. It was just bank was just a merchant who was paying money from one person to other person. So basically, bank also says that you should contact your seller. Okay, but
There are no contact details of that seller because I have received that product from a Facebook page.
yeah. So if you say the bank that you have ordered it from Facebook and then ordered it from Facebook and then now you haven't received the same product, so you cannot even, return the product. So if you buy it from the legitimate site,
I think there should be a system in which these Facebook pages should be verified by the banks before allotting them a bank account for these pages. Don't you think?
actually there can be, but since every person nowadays run a small business and e-commerce is the most easiest way to sell the products. So it would be very difficult for the bank also to verify all the trusted things like Instagram. You go, there are, you are living in the, if I talk about India, you are living in a country which is most populated in the world. And then if you consider even 50% population to be very educated, everybody wants to run their business and sell the things through an e-commerce way. Even Instagram, it is the most common way. You text them, they do not provide you.
Yes.
So bank cannot go and verify every person's social media accounts as well, right? So it is like, the person who wants to sell also, they can also contact the legitimate sites like Myntra, Amazon, Flipkart. They allow you to expand your business. So you can do the e-commerce
Through these websites. List your business products through these websites.
for the bank, it is very difficult. They're already having millions of customers in their bank. If I talk about let's talk about the oldest bank in India, that's ISBI. So they have people from villages as well. People from villages are not that much educated. They don't know. उनका 10 रुपए चला जाता है तो उनको, they don't know how to fill a form, right? How can you expect? So for bank it becomes difficult, but for as a buyer, because it's our money.
Yes.
Ultimately, if it is not even getting discovered, it is your loss.
Yes.
Bank is here to make their profit as well. Okay, if you keep the money, it is just the money going around the system, right?
Yes.
So it is like, it is from whatever thing you can do it from your part.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the
I think after hearing to the entire podcast, entire conversation that we have till now, I think there should be a separate subject for this in the education system, that how to prevent these frauds, these crime threats, and how to
Definitely, it should be. Yeah, this is very inquisitive. So when I studied masters, I studied actually masters in forensic science and tech. So forensic is a field that basically connects the crime law to the legitimate system. Like it helps the police and the courts to solve a crime by being an intermediator and providing the evidences. Okay. So when I was doing my master's, so I was there at the internship at the forensic science laboratory as well, where we have the wider domain of cybersecurity. So people are less getting murdered these days, but they are getting looted and they're getting their money is they're getting bankrupt more.
Yes.
Okay, so the people are paid too much, too good when they are cybersecurity experts. Even when I talk about the multinational companies, ITs, all the private sector's job do hire ethical hackers as well. Ethical hacking is legalized and people do hack and they safeguard banks' data. So hacking is something which can really make any organization go, I would say, bankrupt. I would say go on their feet in a second if their website is hacked. So data integrity is very, very important right now for any organization. And it gets leaked in a second if your website gets hacked.
Yes.
So cybersecurity. So I explored this domain over there when I went on different crime scenes, and we seized different mobile phones, computer. Then we realized how we can fetch the data, how we can extract more information, and somebody's phone and laptops give you much more information than the evidences which are all around.
Yes.
People are more personalized towards their
And I think after hearing all of this, the field is very intriguing. Yes. And I think the students who are listening to this podcast,
To be honest, there is no such course right now. But since I was very much intrigued, so in the last 6 months of masters, when I was writing my thesis, I discovered this domain, and through different through online and through internet, and then I studied it. So there are I would say there are few organizations or few universities which offer the courses forensic accounting. Forensic accounting is the financial investigation or the things through which the investigation goes on into the bank. So it is about the customer's money, but bank itself has a money. So to safeguard that money also, we need financial controller people, financial crime investigator people, so that whatever bank is doing is very much on the same page with the rule compliances. Okay. So if I'm working in if I have a company in any country, then there must be some set of rules and regulations over there. So the people with forensic accounting help those organizations to be compliant with the rules and regulations of that particular country in which that organization stands by. If you're not compliant, then you have to pay the penalties.
yes.
Okay.
So if the students who are listening to this podcast want to see their career in forensic accounting, so they need to do masters, and immediately after that they can join MNC.
Yeah. So you can possibly, what you can do is, after completing your graduation course, you can opt for masters in forensic accounting. You can do the Google. There are many universities in India and of course in abroad as well who offer these courses. And then company comes, if you're doing it from a good university, even you can go and fetch the interviews in the open surroundings or through LinkedIn. You will get ample of jobs over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a very, very informative podcast for all the students out there and me as well. So what will be your last message to the students in this digital age where they are using apps like PhonePe and GPay a lot? They're using these apps in their day-to-day transactions. So unke liye ek last message that how to curb these risks, how to prevent online threats.
My basic measure, as I've talked about earlier, prevention is better than cure. Be very cautious.
We were also talking about that password thing.
Yeah, the password thing. Also, when you're using your PhonePe, GPay, any banking password, I would say make it as difficult as you can. So it becomes very difficult for the other person to decrypt it. Okay, encryption is the very good key term I would use here. You never use your date of birth, never use your mother's date of birth, mother's name, and very layman things. You should make it as difficult as that it becomes very difficult for the other person to crack it. Okay, so when your phone gets stolen, now everything is on the phone.
Yes.
So the money going is very, very quick. So I would say password security is very much important. Do not save your password everywhere and then. Okay, and I would say buy it from the trusted website.
Yes.
Do it for the trusted one. Do not make very small payments through your banks also, because it becomes difficult for the bank also to analyze those payments on the longer run. Okay, if you're making like 50 payments in a day, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, so do not do that. It becomes very difficult for the bank to pull up the transaction details and identify the transactions. Then it would be people who do not know much about it. It will be very difficult for the bank to even fetch up the details.
Okay.
So make sure, I won't say digitization is wrong. It is very good. It is a booming thing and it has made our lives really easy.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can use the wallets. You have PhonePe wallets, you have Google Pay wallets. You can transfer a bit of your money there and then do the transaction from there. Don't make it difficult for the bank as well. But make your password strong. Okay, do not leak it. Try to hide it. And of course, do not click on any websites. Okay. Any text messages, there are text messages, there are phone calls, there are everything. Even you don't know, the people from the phone calls can trap your entire phone. They will ask you just click on one and your phone is hacked. Now you cannot do anything. Even people, I have heard a word called quarantine, video call quarantine as well. So there was a very famous case right now that happened in Lucknow. Her husband got demised.
Okay.
And she was a wife of a very good person. They had a bank account balance of like crores, like 4 to 5 crores. And there was a person who video called her and said that you have been arrested because you have this much, that much amount. And they imposed some penalties on that lady's husband. He has already left the world and the lady does not know. Her husband has left it for her and they have literally quarantined her. They are on video call. They have made her install few software on her phone that they can capture every detail of her. And they have asked that lady that you have to go to the bank, ask the bank to give them take money from bank or withdraw the money from 1 crore 2 crore rupees from the bank, and you have to transfer it to them. And then that lady went to the bank. She cannot even, and she has to take her phone, of course, and from phone they are tracking her every minute detail, what she is talking to the bank staff, what she is doing. When it comes to the crores, bank cannot grant it easily. They need the evidences why you need it. So after 10 hours of keeping that lady into the investigation, that lady revealed that she was into a video call quarantine and video call arresting, we call it basically. And the bank saved millions because here the bank played a vigilant role.
Yes.
The lady who was just taking out 25,000-30,000 rupees a month.
Why is she asking for crores?
So this is a pattern which I was talking about, modus operandi.
Okay.
So video call arresting. So यहाँ पे बैंक ने क्या किया, उसका pattern समझा. What are the transactions they are making? That is why I'm saying कि do not make much more transaction. 10-5 रुपए के बहुत ज्यादा transaction मत करो, क्योंकि कभी आपके account में एक बहुत ज्यादा सा transaction हुआ ना, तो देर आर सिस्टम इन द बैंक जो अलर्ट कर देते हैं कि ही एक होता है फाइनेंशियल हिस्टोरिकल रिपोर्ट्स होती है, FHR कहते हैं हमको. हम स्टडी करते हैं कस्टमर का अकाउंट कि इस कस्टमर के अकाउंट में मान लेकर नीडी का 25,000 हो गया है. लेकिन अब मैं देख रही हूँ जो कस्टमर पूरे महीने 25,000 विथड्रॉ कर रहा था, वो एकदम एक दिन उसके अकाउंट में 50,000 निकल जाता है. तो ये तो बैंक का सिस्टम भी अलर्ट हो जाता है, हम भी हो जाते हैं. तो ये पैटर्न हम स्टडी कहते हैं, इसको हम ट्रांजैक्शन मॉनिटरिंग कहते हैं.
Okay.
तो हम कस्टमर्स के ट्रांजैक्शन को स्टडी करते हैं, मॉनिटर करते हैं, कि FHR स्टडी करते हैं दैट टू नो इज दिस पैटर्न सेफ, मोडस ऑपरेंडी ठीक है, लाइक इस सब कुछ क्लीन है. इफ जैसे आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस वीडियो कॉल अरेस्टिंग, दिस इज लाइक a person who has an expense of 30,000 a month is automatically asking a bank to give me crores. This is blew everyone's mind, and that is how the bank cannot do that. Okay, bank cannot do that without a proof actually, as that was her deceased husband's account through which the wife was getting the alimony and every expenses of her. So the branch manager, after 10 hours of team being together, asked and took her into the confidence that what really has happened, and then she actually expressed that it will happen. They have given her life threats that she'll be dead, she'll be gone, her children will be dead if she does not do this. So this is what I'm saying, I'm saying that you should make your transactions clean. I am saying if you're making a transaction, be it very normal, don't make too much of transactions in a day. Like, it's because if sometimes one thing happened, then you cannot, the system will also decline it. Okay, it also decline it. So anything that goes beyond the normal, of course bank will detect that. We have the special teams, transaction monitoring teams, that studies customers account. There are system that creates alerts and everything. So that is the reason, that is what I gave this example of how bank actually saved the money. You cannot withdraw crores of money from online banking. You have to go to the bank and fetch the cash, because bank will never allow it. So that is why there is always a limit of doing online transactions. It's about like per day. You cannot do more than that. Okay, and it is always good to set the limit for your cards as well. Like, do not, if you have a credit card whose limit is 10 lakh. Yes. So I would say don't set always it to 10 lakh. Let's make it to 1 lakh. Whenever you, of course, I'm very sure you are not going to make more than a lakh payment every day. So right. So whenever you have to, these are adjustable limits. You can go to the app and you can readjust them. So make your limit minimum, so that these are very precautionary steps you can take, so that your money does not leave your bank account. Of course. Okay. So this is what I say, and there are so many cases thousands, or I would say lakhs of cases are being reported on cybercrime portal, be it India, be it overseas, and just to create the criminal records. But the investigation procedure is way too long, and bank cuts down this to very, very short. They help their customers. Maybe the government says that justice is there, but justice is delayed. But banks helps to deliver the customer satisfactory results within few days. So always contact your bank and be very, very vigilant about it. Technology is creating a boom, but at the same time, it is making you lose a lot of things. So if you're in a blink of an eye, you can become a bankrupt. Your accounts can get empty in a single click. So be very, very vigilant and be very, very preventive about everything, because money is very hard earned. Yeah, that's from my side. Thank you so much, ma'am.
So there are lots of takeaways that we can take from this podcast. We learned today that cyber crimes are happening everywhere around us. We will receive those phishing emails, we will receive those suspicious calls on our phone, suspicious calls, video calls. But it is you who need to be cautious while receiving those emails. You do not need to click on that link because your bank account will get empty. So you need to avoid those phishing emails, those suspicious calls and video calls. Of course, bank has set up a legitimate procedure for recovering those financial losses, but it is your first duty to be cautious while doing any transactions. Also, I learned this today, and I think it should be very new for you also, that we need to limit our transactions. It is important that we do not do 5, 10, 15 rupees transactions every day on a very regular basis, because then it becomes very difficult for the banks to learn about our transaction pattern. It is very important that we shift our money to our phone pay wallets, GPay wallets, and then do transaction of small amounts. Otherwise, you should be limiting your transactions while you're dealing with apps like PhonePe and GPay, because then it becomes easy for the banks to look into your transactions and inform you if something suspicious happens. I hope this podcast was very useful for you to understand more about cyber crimes and know about the preventive measures that you can take to avoid those crimes. Thank you so much.